Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is my next Focus On video, My Little Pony, The Crystal Brighthouse, Part 2. The first time we see the Crystal Brighthouse, it was only one 45-minute special, so we didn't get an entirely great view of the look around, and finally, a good long shot. Yes! I love long shots, because you get to actually see the whole thing. But we did get a slightly better view in Chapter 2, so I'm going to kind of go through the areas that we didn't quite get to see in Chapter 1. I must admit, some of them are not too exciting, but at the same time, I still like getting to see around this place. The first thing I do when I go to a con is I just walk around, I just find out where everything is. So this is why I like making videos like this. So anyway, let's go on and see what we can see. This shot is oh, finally, a nice long shot of the Crystal Brighthouse. It so deserves one. So yeah, there's nothing really new per se in this picture, but it's just so nice to actually be able to see the whole Crystal Brighthouse in one shot. So moving on. So starting out kind of from the outside, working our way towards the inside, it's a community garden. Yay! It's almost focus on video mode, and it's I'm not really sure how much of this the main 5 actually built, because there's some actual pretty decent masonry work going on here. But overall, I think it's actually kind of nice. I mean, we got a kind of cool, almost mosaic, front gate and all that. I'm not so sure how much of this the main 5 were supposed to have made themselves, but as a community garden, I think it's okay. It kind of feels like it's a little bit small for a community garden, but regardless, it's still pretty nice, and it makes Sunny happy. So, and the Earth Ponies have some place to practice magic that doesn't result in destroying the town, so anyway, moving on. So yeah, this is the first shot of Izzy's crafting corner. Aw. I must admit, at this distance, I'm not so impressed because we can't really get to see what all those things are. I would say this is a relatively functional space, but there's still some kind of, fun aesthetic things. I mean, we got some drawings on the wall. We got, I guess it's a dream catcher thing hanging from the ceiling. For some reason, this is the first time I've noticed that the Crystal Brighthouse's floor is actually those mosaic tile things, so nice. Again, they really put some effort into making the Crystal Brighthouse pretty nice, so this is a slightly unusual shot because we've actually flipped around and looking towards the other side of the Crystal Brighthouse. But there was an interesting thing here is that, she has a picture of Sunny when she was just a little filly. No. When I first saw that, I thought that's kind of unusual. Why is there this picture of Sunny here, especially when she's so young? But I guess Izzy just, likes having a picture of her very first friend. So, no. Don't worry, every pony. Misty may be on the floor, but she's okay. Now we're a little bit closer, we can get a better look at the kind of things that are in Izzy's crafting corner. At first I thought those tubes with these big, they look like metal rods of some sort, and what does Izzy need metal rods for? But then I saw this basket full of yarn, and I guess it's kind of knitting needles. Again, I'm a computer programmer, not a knitter, so I don't really know, but I'm gonna assume that's what those are. And there's rolls of material, paint brushes, glue, of course, some markers, some threads, some books. It's actually a pretty effective crafting area, and I do like the boxes sitting underneath the tables. Yeah, this is totally my work area. It's I totally have stuff hidden under tables, but I do have to say that Izzy's crafting corner is incredibly clean, so good for her. It's an interesting thought that, yeah, for such an artistic pony, this is actually a pretty functional space. But here, it totally makes sense, is that this isn't the place where you display the crafts, this is the place where you make the crafts. So, interesting. So anyway, moving on. So now we've flipped across the room over to Hitch's Critter Corner. Yay! Well, this in some ways is actually kind of a functional space. It's not very artistic, but again, it kind of doesn't have to be. It's really just a place for the critters to come, hang out, and have fun. And if they need to, flee the garden whenever they need to. Going back to functionality, it's yeah, we start off with here's a place that you can wash the animals, and it looks like below it some sort of filter, and there's closets and, cabinets and stuff, and a bell? What for, I don't know, but it's kind of interesting. Got a mirror with a big bow on it, so sort of look how good you look. Little steps so that they can walk on and stuff, so water and food bowls. Again, another bell on the wall. Interesting. Maybe it's just fun, I don't know. Got balls and toys and a doghouse thing, so interesting. Steps and stuff for the animals to climb up and everything, so it's actually okay. In the context of like a house, it's kind of an odd thing to have. It's like, here's this giant space for random animals to come in and just, you know, hang out when it's too dangerous to hang out in the garden. But overall, I actually kind of like the space. It may not be the most aesthetic thing, but it's fairly functional and I think it works. So, moving on. Yeah, this is not the most exciting picture, but it's the closet. Or at least at the moment it appears to be a closet. It's just one of those things I'd like to know. It's like, okay, where do those two doors like go? So in this case, the door on the left goes to the closet / basement. So just flipping over to this shot briefly just to see that, yeah, the door on the left, that's the one that leads to the closet / basement. Anyway, moving on. So now we are here in the basement again. Nothing too exciting going on here. It's a basement, what do you want? Other than, once again, there's actually no steps on that staircase. It's just basically just a ramp. But I think, again, this is probably that these are ponies, and in some ways, you know what, steps would be more of a problem for them. So ramps might make more sense. In terms of the things that are actually in the basement from this particular angle, it seems to be mostly books, like some paintbrushes and some paints. I just noticed that there's like a painting or a picture of Queen Haven and her kids in the corner, just sort of hidden behind that. It's like, aww. I like that picture, but it's also, oh, it's like, what is it doing sitting in the basement? Oh. I think it's one of those animation things of, okay, what do we already have that we can put in the basement to make it look like there's actually stuff here? Now we're just gonna flip around briefly just to see the other side of the wall and just see that, yeah, there's some other paints and stuff over on like a cabinet on the wall and stuff. So again, it's the kind of typical stuff you find laying in a basement. I did find it kind of interesting that there's this poster of like the original lighthouse that was here. I mean, you can't really see it in this particular shot, but it's like, that's an interesting thing to put down here. But I guess that maybe Sunny had a poster of the original lighthouse. It kind of would make sense. It was, after all, an important landmark in Maritime Bay. So, moving on. Yes, and it's a door. This is basically the door that's on the second floor that we have not yet seen or seen where it goes. I think that this door leads to the washroom. It would make sense to put the washroom on the second floor because the first floor is kind of like the living area. The third floor is the bedrooms or bedroom. So to put the washroom kind of like in between them would kind of make sense. Anyway, moving on. Oh, again, the most of it not too exciting here. It's the washroom. And oh, poor Zip, don't worry, you'll figure it out next time. I kind of like the lamps on like the wall and stuff. I mean, I just noticed the bathtub with like the reddish pink legs. I mean, I can't recall thinking of a bathtub that way, but oh well. Yeah, just one more quick shot over here. It's like, oh, again, oh, don't be sad, Zip, it'll be okay. We got a slightly better view of the washroom. It's like, yeah, again, it's a pretty standard washroom stuff. It's like, oh, I just noticed that there's a plant over in the corner. Yeah, there's like a bin for like towels or something. So, again, it's not spectacular, but it's still pretty nice. So, moving on. So yeah, we caught Pip mid-song. Chapter 1, we didn't really get a good look at Pip's area, so I thought I'd just do a quick shot here. Get to see things a little bit better here, like particularly her bed. You get to see that thing that's over to the right of her bed. I'm not really sure what that is. It kind of looks like a big speaker to me. To the right of that, there's a plushie at Spike, which, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm almost curious, like, how do they know about Spike? Or maybe he's just, oh look, it's just a baby dragon, so... But anyway, it's kind of cool. Where Pip is standing now, there's a laptop with the ring thing, a mouse, of course her phone, and I just noticed like the microphone stand. Not only does it have, I think, like a horseshoe shape here for like holding the microphone, but actually the base is actually a horseshoe, so... There's two pictures on the wall. One is of Zip and Pip when they were like little fillies. No. And another of something that I honestly can't identify. I'm honestly not sure what that is, but it kind of matches the artwork on the stained glass. So maybe there's something to that. And on this shot, we can actually notice that there's like this like ramp that actually goes up onto like the stage area. So it's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. I mean, in some ways, I'm kind of surprised why. That seems a little unnecessary. It's like, why? Can't you just, like, step up? But actually noticing that the stage bit is actually somewhat high off the ground. So having, like, a little ramp thing to just walk up it might be nice. So, Anyway, moving on. This is a slightly unusual shot, but this one basically just shows that there is actually a way to get out of here because there's no obvious door here. So instead of there being like a main door in the bedroom, there's actually like two like staircases that kind of like curve and go up the building sort of to this area, so that's how you can get out of here. I kind of like that idea. It does raise the question of, well, once you get in the Crystal Brighthouse, you could pretty much walk through right into their bedroom, which I would say would be kind of bad. But maybe there's a door on like the 3rd level that you have to go to before you can get to these 2 staircases, but I guess maybe we'll see. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, don't worry, Sunny and Pip, it'll be okay. So this image is pretty much just to get a good look at sort of the common area? I don't really know. Again, I'm a computer programmer, not an architect or interior designer. I don't even know what to call this. But yeah, this is basically the back of the Crystal Brighthouse in sort of like this area that has like couches. There's a window out the back. It almost does kind of almost feel like a common area for all the ponies to just go and sort of like hang out in, because yeah, this whole room is basically just one big bedroom. So in some ways it sort of made sense to sort of put an area kind of like in the back for like the ponies to just sort of like hang out together in, so it's not like, oh, you're hanging in Izzy space or Sunny space or Zip space. It's like we're hanging out just like together. So yeah, it's like I just noticed on the floor, the carpeting, there's like the Unity crystal with some other decorations. There's flowers on the walls. The curtains are actually kind of nice too, so they're actually arranged kind of nice, to be honest. So again, overall, the Crystal Brighthouse is pretty nice, so good for the main 5. Roar! So it is interesting to note that in like the Prisbeam elevator thing that there is actually some security measures, because yeah, this is a pretty important place, that this isn't just simply a house. It houses the Unity crystals, which is basically the source of all magic in Equestria. So yeah, we don't need to turn this place into a fortress, but it is nice to see them adding things like oh, there's this hoofprint scanner thing so that, you know, some pony can't just, you know, go up there and do who knows what with the crystals. So now moving to the outside of the back of the Crystal Brighthouse. So this is, I guess, kind of like the backyard, which is slightly difficult in this particular situation because we're on the top of a very tall cliff. So going beyond sort of like the railings could be problematic, so be careful, ponies. This is actually not a bad space. I mean, we got some plants, we got some nice masonry work going on here. 2 things to take note of here is, yeah, that door. Yeah, I think that's the door on the right in the inside of the Crystal Brighthouse. So yeah, so I think that door on the left goes to the basement. The door on the right goes out to here. So, interesting. And as sort of an engineer, something that I kind of like is that I noticed that the foundation, if you were going to build basically at the top of a cliff that's totally not level, yeah, you would have to lay down a foundation before you can build the building itself. So it's in some ways, it's kind of nice to see that they put the effort to put that in. So now switching to the very back of the Crystal Brighthouse, and probably right to the very edge of the cliff. So no pony move. Yeah, fortunately this camera would be hovering in the air, but if it was on the ground, it'd be like, I'm probably sure standing on tippy toes, not trying to fall off the cliff. Previous angle might have actually been a little bit nicer, but here we get to see sort of like the back area. Like that area, it's just kind of like a table for them to kind of like just hang out at. I mean, I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, it's like that glass, that it's kind of an interesting choice that they decided to do it in just blue and like dark blue. But overall, I kind of like it back here. I honestly couldn't resist trying to actually figure out approximately how big is the Crystal Brighthouse. And I have to say, these numbers are approximate. I wouldn't say these are absolutely accurate, but I tried. Because what I've heard is that the ponies are approximately 3.5 to 4 feet tall. So knowing that, I took this picture from chapter 1 of them walking basically through the door and seeing that Izzy could be like 4 or so feet tall. Oh, that the door is approximately 8 feet tall. Then was able to go through and figure out all these other measurements. So if you're interested in seeing all these measurements on screen, get ready to hit the pause button, because I'm going to put this on screen for like a couple seconds so you can look at it if you really want to. These measurements basically confirm that this place is pretty big, especially just for 4 ponies. We've seen most of the Crystal Brighthouse at this point, but we haven't seen all of it yet. Like, there's that area on, like, the right that's sort of like almost like a 3rd level. It almost feels like there's something there. It's probably something boring like an attic, but I'm still looking forward to seeing more of the Crystal Brighthouse, because you never know. There may be more surprises in the future. But overall, I really like the Crystal Brighthouse. I think it has, you know, the right balance of functionality and aesthetics. It feels like a place where ponies actually live, because look, it has things like basements, and whoever built this thing built it with really nice materials and put some thought and effort into it, and it's a really nice place to live. I love the Crystal Brighthouse. It works so well on so many levels, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. So, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing, and until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.